What is up, residents of the Mysta Clan? This is your boy sixmysta man coming at y'all with a brand new video. But before we get into today's video, may I please ask you to check out our lovely subscriber Staycase channel, is in the link in the description. Also, this is a collaborative series with KingTitanX, whose link will also be in the channel description. So yeah, our intro and outro were created by the Dragon Lord. Link once again in the description. Go check him out. And yeah, so let's get into this video. So, Titan left off last part with Eren getting his leg bitten off, basically being eaten by a Titan, and Armin running away, thinking that Eren is dead. As he is running away, thunder claps behind him. He's too scared to look back and just continues running. Within this time, a giant body emerges from a fallen Titan, and it's aggressive. It's beating down Titans left, right, and center, ripping their heads off, biting into their napes, ripping them apart, killing them. This is the attack Titan as we know it, and they think it might just be an abnormal, which for some reason is not attacking the scouts. After some time, this Titan would be encountered with someone else. But before that happens, we zoom into Bertolt and Reiner having a conversation. This is troublesome. The attack might not work completely if they let Eren continue this rampage, because they know this is Eren. They saw him transform. So they decide Reiner would take care of it and just beat him down to the point where he'd be weak enough for them to take him and just leave. But that might not be it, so they just need to wait. So they agree that Reiner just needs to beat him down and make sure that he's safe. But it's not necessarily going to work like that. Reiner would transform into his armored Titan form, and Bertolt would tell them Ryan joined one of the other brigades, and yeah, Eren would be fighting with the armored Titan. All the scouts would be standing in awe as these two massive, colossal Titans, bigger than the rest, stronger than them too, are just brawling it out. They are destroying each other and everything around them. Until something happens. Reiner finally gets a grip on Eren and tries pulling off his Titan form's head. And as he does that, something happens. His neck bursts open with Eren ODM gear attached, jumping out, having it launch into the armored Titan and then trying to slash its neck, or its nape. As this happens, electricity starts coursing through Eren's body. Suddenly, his body moves on its own, dodging every attack the armored Titan can throw at it, slicing at every piece of flesh he could get a hold of. He couldn't really make it into Reiner's nape since he covered that in armor, but he can get everything else, make sure he feels the pain. And for some reason, he knows that this is a Titan shifter. He knows all about Titans, shifters, Marlians, Eldians, everything. This is because he had his awakening. Eren has now finally become a true Ackerman. His muscle memory is working. His mind is just boggling. He sees Mikasa on the sidelines and decides to ditch Reiner as he shoves both of his swords into Reiner's eyes, detaching them and going back to there, making sure that Mikasa is okay. By this obviously being that Mikasa is Eren's host, or the person he must protect, being an Ackerman, obviously. So this would not only shock Mikasa, who was standing there, but Levi, who had just arrived, seeing a human burst out of a Titan after two Titans were fighting. Reiner, who could barely get away in a panic other side the wall, would shift out of his Titan form. For some reason, other Titans were eating away at what was left of his Titan carcass, and it was disbanding quickly too. Reiner, also having his ODM gear attached, just waits for the marks underneath his eyes to disappear as he comes back over the wall. He'd stand on a slight higher elevation than everyone else so that they couldn't see the marks under his eyes, but that wouldn't matter for now. Levi would obviously quickly attack Eren, who was automatically defended by Mikasa, and this would go into a slight indication. Eren being a lot more tired than he usually would, the awakening wouldn't allow him to win this fight. He'd pass out mid-fight with Levi, who is not yet awakened, and also Mikasa, who is just fucking getting destroyed by Levi because she hasn't awakened either. They just take him basically to get quote-unquote executed with Mikasa and Armin there. So in this, Armin is just crying like, yo, you're still alive, blah, blah. And the canon would be brought up, obviously, because this is a point in Attack on Titan where there needs to be a canon and there needs to be a dramatic shade. Eren tries explaining what a Titan shifter is. They just don't care. They need to kill him. They fire off the cannon for Eren to bite into his hand and a shifter form to come over, but not as it normally would. This only formed a skeleton per se, since he has some knowledge on how Titan shifters work, since some former awakened Ackermans not only killed Titan shifters, not only fucking became Titan shifters, but in a sense knew about them by studying and knowing what they could do. So in his eyes, he could just do whatever the hell he wanted. Basically just forming this body around him, marks appearing underneath his eyes, he would have basically not become a Titan, but summoned one around him per se. This would cause them to be in shock because this kid is actually technically a Titan. He'd once again be brought to court, him not really resisting. Levi would have the same conversation he had with Eren not really yelling like he normally would, just being quiet. Obviously making the nobles think like, yo, he definitely a demon. He not even talking back no more. But Eren would still get beaten the shit out of him. But he wouldn't be as much of a pussy. He wouldn't make all of them sounds. He'd just like grunt if it really hurt and then just take it like a man. He'd be put under Levi along with Armin and Mikasa, and the studying would start. Levi's corp and obviously Hanji would be experimenting on Eren like, yo, we need to find out what you're. After attaching a lot of equipment, she tells him, yo, transform. He'd be reluctant at first, but after a glare from Levi, he'd just grunt and do it because our boy a little bit emo in this one. So he'd begrudgingly transform, and the stat Hanji just gets off of this is insane. She excited because this might fill in a lot of the things she didn't know about Titans previously. Before this, they were shown the Titans that were kept in the lab for experimentation purposes, but it didn't really matter. After a few transformation in size difference and weight difference, Eren would show off the armor, which would interest them a lot. At this point, he can't really transform anymore. He's kind of past his thematic limit. And this is when Levi decides to break him in a little bit. He tells him that they're gonna fight, and they're gonna fight hard. This ain't gonna go exactly how Levi wants it to. This is gonna be a hand-to-hand fight, with Levi obviously having the better experience. Or at least that's what he thinks. After a long and hard fight between the two, Eren would have barely taken any damage and really worn Levi down. Before the match could actually have a victor, Hanji would come back with some results. Obviously, having Eren and Levi both know who stand on top, Eren having the muscle memory of every previous Ackerman that has awakened, putting him at a much higher advantage than Levi at this point. So, basically Hanji would say that the armor seems to be able to last anywhere from a few seconds to never deteriorating. So it's really hard to expect what's going to come from a Titan shifter who can use this. Obviously, this is the point where she'd start asking questions to Eren about Titan shifters, and he would explain everything he knows from the previous memories he gained from other Ackermans. He'd explain all the different type of Titan shifters and what their abilities are, how to gain them, which would give Levi an idea. Since they now have this knowledge, and also having Eren's dad had at some point told them to find the locker room, they decide to conquer the walls slowly but surely again, with Eren's help, since not only did he awaken afterwards, which puts him at a great advantage, he would have talked about the Ackerman family, which Mikasa and Levi are both of, and explained to them everything about everything. Levi is probably never going to awaken since he doesn't have someone to protect, or at least that's what they think. But Mikasa might, since her obsession with Eren, as we know. And this will put them at a great advantage if this happened, but we're not going to talk about that too much right now. They'd set out on their journey to conquer the wall, and as time goes on of them preparing, Eren would use different forms of his armor. If it just be covering his knuckles, entire parts of his body, inside of his body, or just outwardly dispersing it. Obviously, this would put worry on other characters like Annie, Bertolt, and Reiner, which would lead into the entire female Titan situation, which is going to be covered in the next part by Titan. I know this has been a short what if, guys, but I don't think I'm going to be able to finish it because this video already needed to be out a few hours ago. And yeah, this has been an 11-minute video, so I hope y'all enjoyed part 2 to What If Eren Was an Ackerman. This has been your boy Six. Peace.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
Subscribe for more.
Yada yada does it.